Can you all see the slide deck for me? You should be able to see a presentation on there saying social selling workshop, how to use LinkedIn and live webinars to grow your business. Okay, you can. Fantastic. Now, the information that I've kind of gathered for you to hear today has been collected from a number of different social media campaigns that we've ran over the last 5 years. Sam, my business partner, has actually been doing it for longer. But I've been specifically consulting on these sorts of things now for just coming or just over 5 years now. I think we've just had our anniversary as of last week. But what I've noticed is that there are lots of people that are using social media right now. I'm having lots of conversations with people. And it seems that there are lots of users, lots of profiles that are posting content that are network building, that are utilizing LinkedIn, but they're just not seeing a steady flow of sales opportunities, and therefore they're seeing a little bit of a lack of revenue right now. And so I spend lots of time reviewing people's social media accounts, their marketing and sales processes, and there are 5 things that are very, very common when it comes to generating sales online. This isn't just about building a following, it's about generating sales specifically. And what I want you to do for me as I bring these 5 specific points up is just let me know which one most resonates with maybe the reasons why you're not seeing the results that you want right now. The first one is that you may be building a network up on LinkedIn right now. Just let me know, actually, for those of you that are using LinkedIn currently, are you building your networks right now? Just give me a yes in the chat if you are. It's something that we should be doing. You can send up to 200 connection requests a week. And typically people are building up these networks with their ideal target market, their potential customers in the future. But the issue that they're finding is that they can't get those people to engage. They can't get those people to respond. They can't get those people to interact with any of the content that they're purposefully creating for them. It's very, very common, something that I hear a lot right now. Number 2 is actually the fact that you just don't have a big enough audience right now. So whether it's your LinkedIn account, whether it's your other social media accounts, whether it's your email lists, it's just not big enough. You know that you've got a great product and service. It's just the fact that not enough people know who you are and what you do. So you're looking for ideas in terms of how to drive more traffic to then generate more sales opportunities. Number 2 is the fact that you just don't have a big enough audience currently. Number 3 is that you currently don't have a marketing and sales process that's connected. So you may be utilizing LinkedIn, you may have a website, you may be sending messages, you may be networking, you may be doing lots of different things, but currently it's not connected, and you don't understand at this current point in time how to take that connection activity and turn it into sales opportunities. The process isn't quite there. Now, I know process isn't the most sexiest of things in the world, right? Like most people run away like a mile from it. But actually, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be sharing with you today is our process and how it generates consistent results month in, month out, and has done for the last 5 years. Okay, I'm going to be taking you through it. But number 3 is that you just don't have that process in place right now. Or maybe you've got parts of it, but it's not working. Number 4 is that it's a very, very obvious one, but actually you don't introduce your offer to your target market often enough. So I'm actually genuinely curious right now, how many times a day are you telling people about what it is that you've got to sell? I'm just curious. Is it once a day? Is it maybe not once, maybe it's once a week? Let me know in the chat like what it is that you're currently doing. Are you doing it every day? Are you doing it every couple of days? Are you doing it once a week, once a month? Like, we had a very, very quiet July. Okay, so July is typically a month that I take off on holiday. It was my 30th birthday, celebrated it in America. We drove across the country, absolutely loved it. But in terms of how often we introduced our offer that month, maybe once a week, right? Like very, very, and therefore the pipeline compared to normal was a lot lower. Okay, and what happens from that is that you end up having a quiet month. In August, we have completely accelerated. So I'm running a workshop every week. I'm having on average 10 to 15 conversations with new people every single week. There's 100 messages a day going out of my account. Like, we have ramped up the activity significantly. And therefore already August is on track to be our best month, like it has been for the last couple of years. The fact is that what I'm noticing is people are not putting their offer out enough online to get enough people interested through that pipeline ready to buy. And therefore, number 5 kind of links it all together, is the fact that you may have a strategy in your own mind. And this is just me being really honest with you right now. Like, what I'm finding more often than not is that most people are waiting for business to come to them rather than you going after it. And that isn't a huge negative because you can make the change. But if you keep going the way that you're going, you're never going to see different results. And again, very, very obvious. But I'm curious, right? Normally, there's one of those reasons that stands out more than the other. But if you could be really honest with me right now, no one else can see your answers. Out of 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, which one of those specific things most resonates or connects with you right now? What's the thing that may be holding you back from those consistent sales opportunities? So there's lots of 2s coming in, which is cool. So most people are saying they don't have a big enough audience right now. Jeep, BH is both saying 4. Sue is saying 4. Connor's saying 1. Keep them coming, guys. Keep them coming in, because again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus a lot of the presentation on the areas where you need to help the most. So a few more 4s and a couple of 3s. So it looks like out of those 5 things there, we've got 2, 3, and 4 is the majority. Okay. Now I've covered and broken down this whole presentation into 3 specific areas for you. Number 1 is where I'm going to talk you through the process. So the exact steps you need to take to start driving opportunities, utilizing webinars, okay? Utilizing LinkedIn webinars to generate those sales opportunities. Number 2 then, part 2, should I say, is I'm going to be focusing on positioning. So how do you actually get people to these workshops? And then how do you then convert them, with part 3 focusing in on profit making? So how do you then turn strangers into sales? The whole process end to end. Now, I don't spend very much time talking to you about me on this workshop whatsoever. It's not something that I enjoy, is listening to people just brag all the time. It's not what I'm here to do. However, I literally could be anybody, like talking to you like online right now. And so there's some text there for you to read in terms of my credibility. I have documented the same with my 2 business partners, Sam and Nick. We've pretty much documented the last 4.5, now 5 years of our journeys online. The good, the bad, the ugly, what's worked, what hasn't. You only need to head to my YouTube channel. You will see, I think, up to 100 videos now of me talking about how I've built this business, how I've also built previous businesses in the past. And the best place to come and like follow me is actually on LinkedIn. So that QR code there, if you scan it, come and connect with me on LinkedIn, right? Just scan that QR code. If we're out of interest, for those of you that are on here right now, out of those, just how many of you are connected with me already on LinkedIn? How many of you are already, just give me a yes if we're already connected, give me a no if we're not. If there's any no's on here, scan that QR code, come and connect with me, because I like to interact. I like to ask questions. I have built the 3 businesses that I've mainly been a part of over the last 6 years of like talking to strangers online, right? It sounds really, really strange, but come and connect with me. I will answer any questions that you've got. I will talk to you. I will respond. It is me. It is not a randomer. And so with that, we can start to build up that connection as well. But the biggest point on there is kind of the reason why we are here. I started this business with Nick and Sam, who I'll introduce you to very shortly, purely because I got, I guess, scammed at the beginning of my journey of people promising me that they can deliver me loads of results when it comes to marketing and sales. I'm just humour me, out of interest, for those of you out there who's spent some money on marketing and sales training in the past and been let down and disappointed, right? I've spent in the regions of 10 to 20 grand on masterminds, on courses. And do you know what? The advice that I got was just regurgitated crap that I could have got off YouTube. Drove me absolutely nuts. And I remember sitting in a mastermind with Sam, which was one of the best things that came out of any investment that I made, was meeting her. And she introduced me to our other business partner, Nick, and we sat around the table talking around all the crap advice that we'd heard in this small business space. And so that kind of started off a little bit of a mission for us, where we were just going to start to share for free loads of information that people needed to hear to start growing properly. Not information based off hearsay, but information that's actually worked for our businesses. The good stuff, the bad stuff, the ugly stuff. And we've ended up just teaching people what we've proven. You'll see at the end of this, we have one way, specific way in which you can work with us. It's 250 quid a month, and it literally gives you everything that you need. Like, we are not about making thousands of thousands, tens of thousands of pounds off people. It is about giving people the high quality information and giving them the accountability and support to do it. We teach what we prove, and everything that you're going to see today is backed up with loads and loads of evidence, loads and loads of stats, because you know what? That's the only way that you can tell if this is real or not. Now, I've got a really honest, like obvious question, I guess, to ask you. And that is really linked to today's workshop. Have you ever considered running a webinar to grow your business? Have you already run one in the past? Just curious. Some people actually come to this and they have never run a webinar before. And do you know what? They didn't even know what one was. And so they're just coming to find out a little bit more. Some of you will have a strong desire to run one. And do you know what? I did this the other day and it worked really well. I'm going to turn the subtitles on. So for some of you that can't keep up with my speed, it is there. So you should see subtitles coming through. So no and no is coming through. There's a few yeses. Samantha's said, yes, I've done one and another one coming up. Okay, great. So the information today is going to really, really help you, whether you have considered running one or you haven't. And for those of you that have said no, right, are you looking to learn how to run them in the future, right? Just give me a yes or a no. If you're not, you're still going to get the benefits of the LinkedIn training today. But again, the webinar stuff is really, really important anyway. Just, okay, the yeses are coming through as well. Perfect, great stuff. Now, I'm going to explain to you why we love them. Webinars are something, especially when you combine them with LinkedIn events, and also building up the process that I'm going to share with you today. Webinars have been the main way that we've built this business. And we have worked with, it's just over 1,200 people in the last 3 years of this product being live. And the majority of them have come from LinkedIn events, social media traffic, live events, talking to people, but driving those people to free workshops like this. Webinars specifically, the reason why I love them so much is they give you the ability to control your sales pipeline. So everything in marketing and sales, we believe, is based on metrics and numbers. And what they allow you to do is proactively generate sales opportunities every single month. Rachel, if you drop me a message on LinkedIn, I'm sure I'll be able to get a replay out to you. If anyone wants the replay of this, I can't say exactly when it's going to come through because it takes time to get it through. But drop me a message on LinkedIn and I will look to try and get a replay out to people very, very shortly. But what I found was, and you may have this when I ask the question now, actually, in terms of your LinkedIn accounts, for those of you that are using it, how many connections do you have? How many followers do you have? Just drop the number in the chat box for me so I can see. Because what I find is that some people will have 500,000, 10,000, 20,000, bigger networks than me. And even if you've got connections of 100 people, right, you've got low hanging fruit in your network. You just simply don't introduce what you do enough. And a webinar gives you the ability to be able to introduce your offer, right? It gives you the ability to deliver some value. And then at the end, talk about what it is that you've got to do. And with one, you not only build up your own credibility, don't get me wrong, it's a bit scary when you do it for the first time and you're not very confident and you struggle to get your words out. I've been there, I've done it, I was shocking. Now I'm not bad at them. But you also give yourself people the chance to realize how much you know. And lots of people on here, I assume, currently rely on word of mouth and referrals to generate their business. I mean, am I accurate in saying that? I'm sorry to keep you engaging a lot, but I just need the information. It helps me. Are you someone that relies on word of mouth recommendations and inbound inquiries right now? Just give me a yes or a no. If you're not, that's totally fine. What I'm noticing in lots of people are, and we love them. We love word of mouth opportunities, right? We love business coming to us. But with a webinar, I don't rely on that. With a webinar, strangers come. A lot of you, I'm going to be honest, I don't know your names. I've not seen you online very much, but you've somehow made your way to this webinar. And now you're finding out a little bit about me. You may spend an hour like listening to me. You may like what you've got to hear. And therefore, I'm building trust with you. I'm demonstrating how much we know and the results that we generate. What's even better is that LinkedIn gives you the opportunity, as you can see on the right-hand side there, to promote your events directly on the platform. Now, this is extremely powerful you're not going to get 300, 500 people coming every time. But actually, like for our LinkedIn events, we generate normally between 30 and 50 people that attend come from it. So I think on this event, when you come through, I'm going to talk through that in a second. We've got like 1,400 people that have said that they're coming. Now, in terms of the numbers on this webinar right now, we will probably touch 100 that will end up being live on this workshop that have come from it. Now, for those of you that are here right now, how did you hear about this event? Was it from the LinkedIn event or was it via an email? Typically, it's an 80-20% split. So 80% people come from the email, 20% come from LinkedIn. And so with that, you need to understand the numbers for it to be able to work. Sue came from Meetup, which is great. But that's 1,400 people that have said that they're interested in coming to this, that all we've done is just press buttons to get them interested in it. Now, you've got to have the right title. You've got to have the right content. You've got to have the right content going out onto your socials to build up the credibility in the first place. But if I'm looking to generate the 15,000 leads that we've done over the last few years from LinkedIn events, if I'm looking to pay a social media platform advertisement costs to get that amount of people to come to it, it's going to cost them over 110 grand, rounded up to 115 grand. Right? Like in terms of it, it's £9 a lead. Sue, in terms of this, my name is Chris Taylor, just so you know. So I'll put my LinkedIn handle here for you, so you've got it. It's a really good point. If I do this and this in there, hopefully that works. If it doesn't, I will contact you afterwards so you've got it. But yeah, £9 a lead it can cost on Facebook to get someone to register. That's not actually show up, by the way, to a webinar. That's to register. So LinkedIn events gives you the ability to get your offer, your trainings out there for free, right? So if you're not even considered doing this, please, if you're ever considering running a webinar or a workshop, at least set up a LinkedIn event. I've got a tutorial on my YouTube channel that you can watch that shows you step-by-step how to do it. To pay anyone to do it, you can utilize that. But with this, it's about understanding how to get eyeballs onto your stuff, right? And this process, although won't mean much to you right now, is actually how the majority of you, if not all of you, have got here right now. So LinkedIn profile on the left-hand side, this is your connection activity. You're then building your networks up. You're then sending messages maybe. I've been sending messages out, driving people to my lead magnets. That then drives them to the email list. The email list then, 80% of the registrants come from the email list. 20% come from the LinkedIn event, which is this bottom line here. Like this process is all connected together to drive people to our webinars. Very, very simple and straightforward. However, putting this into practice, then it relies on the detail to get it converting. But with that, I know my connection activity is actually worthwhile, and I'm not just hoping that eventually it's going to give me something. I know that with every 100 messages that I send, I'll get between 10 and 20 lead magnet downloads. Out of those 10 to 20 lead magnet downloads, typically 5 to 10 of those people will attend a workshop in the next 60 days. That is how you build consistent pipeline. The majority of my stuff is actually automated now. And it's the same thing with lots of our customers. You don't have to spend hundreds of hours putting all this into practice. It's just about getting a process in place, getting as much of it automated as possible, and then making sure that your delivery is really good so people understand what it is that you've got to do. And this now links me into the process, which is absolutely critical at this stage for you to understand. What I've noticed more now than ever before is people lack a proper marketing and sales strategy. Now, I know, again, the word strategy is thrown around a lot, but that picture on the right-hand side there was me talking. You can see it's a similar presentation that I was delivering. It was a marketing and sales strategy training for Lloyds Bank for a lot of their startups in Manchester. And what I got from that room is similar to what I got from the responses already today. Lots of people are trying. You're active online right now. You're also maybe networking right now. I mean, out of interest, who here at the moment today is posting online content every week? Give me a yes or a no if you're posting content every week. There'll be some of you out here that are sending messages right now to potential prospects. Not everybody is doing this, and it's, for me, a crime if you're not sending messages. You've got to learn how to do it the right way. But who here is sending messages to potential prospects every week? Copy and pasting, maybe starting conversations. right? It's opportunity to get eyeballs on what you're doing if you're not doing it. However, for those of you that are, if you're not getting results, right, just so I've got clarity on here, I know when I was posting content regularly on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, when I was sending messages getting ignored time and time again, I was getting extremely peed off at a lack of results from it. I was being promised the world of if I just keep doing it, if I just remained consistent, that eventually it will happen, and it never did. There were things that I was just doing wrong. If you are currently frustrated at the results that you're getting from the time that you're putting into social media, just put the number 1 in the chat box for me, because you're not alone with this. There are so many people that are getting seriously annoyed at these algorithms not showing their content to the people they need it to. Sending messages, putting time in, going to networking events, and not seeing consistent results that they were once promised. I want to explain to you why that is, because I speak in rooms every week. And it's the one thing that pretty much anyone that's struggling is missing. And it's a process that leads a stranger to becoming a customer consistently. We make every single one of our customers go through this process, right? We reverse engineer everything. And this is something that my business partner, Nick, who you will see his profile on the right-hand side there, took both me and Sam through when we first started working with each other, and now something that we are doing with every customer because it is vital. And this is the bit at which you need to start taking notes if you haven't already. This is the stuff I want you to screenshot if you can. Number 1 is getting your offer right. So answering the question, what is it that you're going to sell, and who both wants and needs what you're selling? I cannot tell you the amount of people that are selling something in a way that just doesn't engage their target market to the point where they want to buy it. A symptom of that is where you may actually get people having conversations with you, but when you get to proposal stage, when you get to quote stage, when you get to presenting what it is that you do, you then get ghosted and ignored, and you can't get people to make a decision. That is because the way that you're framing your offer to the target market you're trying to communicate with, unfortunately, doesn't connect. And so we've got to reverse engineer and get that right. I'm going to be taking you through different elements of this throughout today's workshop. So don't worry if you don't know what this is just yet. We then need to work through what is the best way to sell this solution. So a webinar may not be right for all of you. There are certain solutions that really, really make webinars successful. But there might be some of you that need to do one-to-one consultation calls at the front end. There'll be some of you that may need to do audits. There may be some of you that just need to direct market and direct email on a more consistent basis. There are specific ways to sell certain solutions, and we've worked with every type of business: product-based businesses, service-based businesses, B2C, B2B. We've worked with them all. And there are specific ways that you can isolate your sales process to a certain target market to get them to make buying decisions, no matter if you're working with one-man bands or corporate businesses. What you need to work out is the best way to sell it, and then your campaign. So I know that to be able to meet my sales target, I need to generate 120 qualified leads. What I mean by qualified is people that have gone through a workshop or at least some form of conversion piece of content before I hit my target. 120 people. If I do that, I'm going to convert the 10% minimum that I need to hit my target. From there, in terms of qualified leads, I need to start X amount of relationships. So 300 relationships is my target for this month that I've got to start. Now, the beginning of a relationship typically is what we call a direct message. It's how we do it. So for our type of business, 300 relationships need to be started. The point at which the relationship starts is the time at which I get a response to my direct message. The lead part is where I then take control, and I'm going to be sharing with you how that process works very shortly. But from that point, you then need to work out how you're going to proactively start building those relationships. And this is something that Nick has gone through and drilled into me over the last 5 years more than anyone else has in the past. It is critical that you know the answer to these questions. I'm going to be sharing something with you in a second where I will talk you through these things. But for those of you that don't know who Nick is, the reason why I listened to him was because he's been in business for just over 20 years. He's my mentor as well as business partner and investor, technically, but he mentors as part of our programs. Now, Nick doesn't like talking about his success too much online. We've started to encourage him to do it a bit more. But Nick has built and sold businesses in excess of £500 million. That is the level that this guy works at. And you only need to go and scroll his profile to see the journey that he's been on. Manufacturing, overseas, international business that he built, and has now started to help small businesses via investment, mentoring, and support to grow in the same way that actually has helped us do. So our business partnership started when Nick met Sam. They ended up going into business together. And you can see from the sorts of posts that Nick is doing here, like, he connects with a lot of people that, do you know what, are struggling right now, that just need that support from someone that's been there and done it. He did the same for me. So when I had my first property business, it didn't end particularly well. I was on my ass. I didn't know what to do. And he came and helped me. He invested into an idea that we all had. And from that, now he is out there giving small businesses the advice that they need to grow, and also corporate businesses advice on how to grow internationally. He did a post there I think this was the other month, all around on how to get paid. Curious, for those of you that are on here right now, who here has ever got frustrated at not being paid on time by a supplier? Just give me a yes in the chat if you've ever been annoyed. Nick is a specialist on getting suppliers to pay on time, and with that, generating you that consistent revenue. Huge, huge thing that everybody needs to know. That post there is a beginning part to it. Something so critical, getting people to actually pay your invoices as well as signing your contracts. And he did this bit of work with a lady called Jess. Literally only a few days ago, we got this message from Jess. If you want to go check her out on LinkedIn, feel free. But again, from the process that Nick helped her work through, increasing that activity, driving people to that webinar. Jess works in HR and leadership and management consulting. She won a 20K training contract and several more meetings booked in the next week or two as well. So again, from the advice, I think Nick spent, 45 minutes on a call with her, talking her through this process that led him to be able to do similar things. And with that, bang, results coming. It's about understanding the process and how it works. This is the process that we reverse engineered to sell our social selling mentorship program, right? So again, this process here, we work backwards. And the best way, this whole process here, obviously, I've already shown you it. It's nothing different. It's the same one that I mentioned before. But the best way to explain this to you is to show you kind of how it works. And so the gentleman on the right-hand side there is a gentleman called Jamie York. He's a good friend of mine. And we started to work together around about 3 years ago when he had 7,500 followers on LinkedIn and he had 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. They were the two traffic sources that we isolated to work on at the time. Jamie had worked with other marketing people before, but had lacked the process to move. He had a new business that he was starting and we needed to build it up. So in a 6-week period, we mapped out his marketing and sales process. And it kind of looked like something on the right there. So we built out his offer. We built out the 2247 that you can see, the mastermind programs that are there, and then how we moved up the product scale. You can see here, we had the sales webinar, we had the advertising, we had the traffic sources there. This was the first time actually someone had trusted me to help them do it. So Jamie was my first ever proper customer when it comes to sales and marketing strategy. But this is what you need to do if you're not doing it already. Pick 2 platforms that you can focus in on, right? And please make sure that one of them, if you're not doing offline networking right now, relies and pushes you to do video content. We then set up an email list. So out of interest for those of you that are on here, who has an email list currently and how many people have you got on it? Simple questions. For us, our email list is the reason why our business grows every single month without fail. Email marketing is the best kept or kind of obvious secret now that everybody should know. Like, you should be building your email list. 80% of our registrations and our sales opportunities every month come off the back of our email list. So again, if you've not got one and you're not growing it right now, you are leaving 80% of your social media online activity opportunity on the table. It is that important that you get it right. And when you do, that's where you'll start to see the consistent opportunity. Because what we then did with Jamie's stuff is set up the email marketing. It takes literally 20, 30 minutes to do it. We then built out some lead magnets. We built out some webinars, and we started to promote actively the new opportunities and new products and services that he had. When you start to match everything that I've mentioned above with a great message and a great offer, that's where your conversion happens. And that's what we did. When I look at the numbers of this process and I break it down for you, it's literally just fact. Out of anybody that shows up to a webinar, you can expect 10% of people to book a call in with you. That is your target, and that is what we hit every single time. To work backwards, 50% of people that register for your webinars will actually show up to the live session. 20% of your traffic will come from your new marketing efforts. As I mentioned before, 80% come off the back of your email list. Once you're converting consistently, you can then run an evergreen process. So people have asked me for a replay of this already today. I haven't actually got one set up for this, but again, I will just set up an evergreen process so people can watch this anytime that they want. And with that, that drips through. We've got around about 6 different evergreen processes that work in our business right now. That generates 1 to 2 sales calls per evergreen webinar that I run for me and the team to convert off the back of. It's just marketing. It's just, you've just got to put this process in place. And so from the webinar that I ran last week, I had 250 registered. I had 130 show up. It wasn't 150, but it resulted in all my calls being maxed out, 15 calls, and 85% of those calls converted into business for us. So again, with this, it's about putting in your process, right? It's just about putting it in. It's a tick box exercise. Jamie had an incredible first month when he ran his webinar, but without the webinar, this is the big bit, Jamie would have built an audience, maybe had a few inbound leads, maybe had a few referrals, but he would never have generated the volume of sales that he did on the right-hand side. He had 44 new customers come on board, and the webinar was the vehicle that booked in those sales calls for him and his other business partner at the time. When you introduce your services at the end and you seed them throughout the whole of the webinar, that's when you turn your opportunities into sales. And I'm going to be talking to you about the importance of your message within your content and webinar shortly. It's one of the most important parts of this process. And the results from this first webinar spoke for themselves, like I mentioned. It doesn't matter what business you have right now, right? It is the same process. Stephanie, you've asked that question at a perfect time. Yes, it is the same process, B2C, B2B. You've just got to make sure you understand the metrics, which do slightly vary depending on the business that you're in. But the biggest point is you can't just run one and then give up on it. So many people do this. They run one, they only get 10 people to it. They feel like it's a waste of time, they give up. I have one rule. When you commit to working with us, we commit to running 12 of them in the year, 1 a month. The minimum that you can run is 10. There's no point doing it if you're not going to really go all into it. He and his team focused in on building out this process with us. We worked together. We reviewed everything like we do with every single one of our clients as part of that £250 a month program. We reviewed every part of the process. We consulted on it all with them. We made sure that the text was right, the landing pages were right. We gave them all the feedback on how to deliver it. And then you ramp it up from there. In year 1, Jamie flew through the $1 million threshold. That's a US dollars. And for those of you that are in Australia that are joining, it's not Aussie dollars, it's US dollars. And this process we have now ran with over 470. That needs updating. It's over 500 clients now because we've run, I think it's about 45 webinars in the last 2 months that we've run with clients that are actively doing this at the moment. And we take people through a 6-stage kind of process, which I'll share with you in a second. But it all starts, like I said, with reverse engineering that process, those questions that I mentioned before. Jamie's gone on to do over 15 million or something like that now. It's ridiculous. But if you go and look at his YouTube channel, it's over 100,000 subscribers. His LinkedIn now is nearly at 14,000. He is flying. But this process hasn't just been done with him. Like, the process is here. You can see on my LinkedIn account, all the people that have ran them, leaving the recommendations. I'm not going to sit here and read these out to you. If you want, just have a quick scan so you can see them there. but everyone running webinars. There's lots of different ways that you can generate business. Today, I'd promised that I'd speak to you about webinars. Lorna had 85 registered, 26 turn up, and got 7 calls booked. 2 clients signed up and paid for, 3 who want to join in Jan. And I think from here, what she said was, again, I won another client last night who I connected with last week. This stuff has been rinsed and repeated by that many people. That's why I sit here presenting this with so much confidence, right? And at the end of this session, I'm going to be offering you the chance to speak with me about it. So on this call, it's what we call a strategy call, right? It's marketing and sales strategy. We'll talk about reverse engineering that process. I'm going to get you to identify the gaps that you've currently got with me. And I'm going to talk through the changes that we need to make to start seeing consistency in your pipeline. The calls are with me personally. So there's only X amount of time in my diary for you to be able to book these in. You'll see, I think there's time tomorrow, Thursday. Oh no, tomorrow is Thursday, isn't it? Thursday, Friday, and I think Monday and Tuesday as well. I think there's around about 15 to 20 slots available. And once they're gone, like I'm then running more workshops on different subjects where I'll be talking to different people about different things. So I won't be able to do any more. So that QR code there will take you to my Calendly link. That Calendly link, if you complete it, all of the questions in there, I think there's 5 or 6 questions that I need the answers to be able to give you the advice and to be able to talk you through the process in enough detail to get it to work and make it worth your time. So please just answer the questions, book the time in where you can, and then from there, and you can get it booked in. Kirsty, not a problem whatsoever. But the QR code is there in the top right-hand corner for you throughout the whole of this workshop as I continue to go through it. So again, scan it, book it in, pick your time. But in terms of process, there's some top tips there for you. I'm not going to read them. They're there for you to have a quick scan down. But the big one is the fact that people aren't on LinkedIn to buy products, and you need to realize this. We are not on social media to buy things. The majority of people are on there. You probably are included in this as well because you're bored or for your own selfish reasons. So you're either picking up your phone and getting distracted and doom scrolling, right? Which is, I think 90% of people, when they pick up their phones, end up doom scrolling. And then the other is to actually then generate business for yourself, post your content, build your connection requests, etc., etc. You need to realize this. And when you do, you then understand the fact that you cannot sell directly on social media. You need to move people off of it. And therefore, your email list is the most important thing that you can take away from this workshop today. Now you understand the process, you can now look at how to position yourself properly. So with positioning, there's 2 parts, your audience and then your activity. So building the right audience on LinkedIn is absolutely critical in the same way that it is on any of the other social media platforms. Most people know, you've already said this to me already today, you know how to build your networks. If you're not maxing out your connection requests right now, you really do need to start doing it because it is free opportunity. But the problem that you have is that you're only connecting with your ideal clients. Now, like I just mentioned before, the majority of people that are using social media are using it because they're bored or for their own selfish reasons. So when you're posting your niched industry-specific content to potential prospects that are founders or CEOs, they're not on LinkedIn to read your content. And therefore, they're never going to engage with it. The way to get your ideal client's attention is by boosting the engagement that you're getting on your content by connecting with people that are extremely active on the platform and already engaging with content that is similar to yours. When you then start to create content that is already being engaged with by other people, that is where your engagement grows consistently. The perception of your authority goes up because guess what? The more reactions you've got, the more comments you've got, the more followers you've got. Unfortunately, that is how credible you are to a stranger that's looking at you on social media. That's just a fact. If I've got 1,000 reactions on a post, I look far more credible than someone that's got 50. And so that person that's got 1,000 is going to get more impressions, more reach, more followers, and more opportunity. And so with this, you need to change the way that you're building your network. You also need to understand that sending connection requests cannot be the only way that you build your audience. 150 connection requests a week that you can send is 600 in a month. And if you get a 50% conversion rate, you will only grow by 300 connection requests a month. Sorry, 300 connections a month. Our average to generate the sales opportunities to strangers, to get enough strangers through the pipeline consistently, means that you need to grow by a minimum of double that per month for consistent sales coming through. That is an uncomfortable truth that a lot of people don't realize. And it's why their social activity isn't giving them the returns that they want. People won't tell you this because they can't give you the growth that you need to get it working like we can. Content is the answer to this. It's not just about building connections. It's about building followers. And so what you need to do is you need to feed these platforms with enough of the right content to be able to get enough of the right followers. And when you do that, you can see this is my connection numbers on the right-hand side here. There were 13,359 followers in 17th of January 2023. I've now got 22,423. The growth is proven not just from sending connection requests, because I would never have got to that number. It is done by feeding this platform with the content that trends. And when you do that, you will get enough of your ideal client's attention because, again, your perception of credibility goes up. When you then have your process in place, your direct messaging automated process, your webinars that generate your sales calls that you learn how to convert on properly, which generate your revenue, when your then following grows, your email list will grow and your revenue will then grow alongside it. There is no magic formula to this. That is just fact and how it works. And so what I want to really wake you up to the opportunity is that anybody can do this. It's just about putting it in place and understanding how these platforms work. And it starts with answering this one key question. Why should your ideal client avatar, your ICA, follow you in the first place? Do you know the answer? What is it that you do online? What is it that you talk about online that's going to enable you to stand out? So many people, when I look at their profiles, their engagement is literally on the floor with 5 to 10 reactions, and they can get 100, 200 reactions if they just started talking about the right things in the right way, learning how headlines are written. I know it sounds boring, but it's about learning the skills here, identifying the gaps. We tell people what their gaps are because we do so much research for them. We then look and research what we believe is going to get people talking in your content. Because if you don't know the answers, you're never going to be able to succeed on these platforms. And I hate to pee on people's bonfires with this, but it is just fact. We've worked with one of the top creators on LinkedIn, one of the fastest growing creators on LinkedIn at the moment, Eric Partey. If you look on my LinkedIn profile, you'll see the words that he said about us. But we spoke in detail with him about his content strategy, about identifying how he could differentiate himself in a very, very crowded coaching and consulting marketplace. Subtle changes in activity and content saw huge levels of engagement coming through, and suddenly his pipeline was fuller than ever. This is actually a message from my fiance Zoe that you can see here, right? So yesterday I posted something not related to work. Reality check, your content, if you want to flourish on this platform, typically doesn't actually relate to the work you're doing in your business. It has to be about stuff that people are going to support, agree with, disagree with. And you can see here, the post blew up that she did, right? She had 880 followers at the time. So for those of you that have got 5,000 followers right now that I saw, that's the level of engagement that you can get when you start posting the right stuff. This is that reality check. Because if you're only getting 500 impressions or 1,000 impressions on a post, it's not enough visibility and therefore not worth the time right now until you get it right. Save your hours, do something different. Rather than saying that consistency is the answer, be open enough to adapt, because when you do that, when you get enough visibility on it, you get a message like that. This was for Zoe's property business at the time. I just watched a short video and I'm intrigued to know more. Considerable experience with dogs and considering investment opportunities. Like, it just happens when you start to connect all of this stuff together. And then again, when you see my content, like, these are the messages that we get on a consistent basis, but it's because my content is seen by more and more people every single day. It's been a while and I wonder whether you'd be happy to have a catch up. Hey, Chris, you got me with your content. We'd love a meeting so I could explain how you may be able to help one of our clients to learn about your offer. Like, this stuff happens as well as running your webinars to generate proactive opportunities when you understand why your ideal client avatar should follow you, and therefore the content you need to create to be able to get their attention. What you then need to do is connect your offer with then a message that entices your audience to buy. And this is really critical, and what Sam has done amazingly well. We speak between me, Sam, and Nick, between 7 to 10 founders a week on average. That's an average taken over the last, 3 years now. And it's about their sales strategies. The harsh truth is that most people just aren't doing enough of the right things. I've already asked you the question about how often you're telling people about your offers. That should be a bit of a reality check. And then to go deeper into it, how many positive reactions are you getting, or are you getting ignored? And if you're on here today, I'm just going to assume from the answers that you've given that you're open to change, open to find out, because just this week, we're going to get our mentorship, our academy, the £250 a month thing that I spoke about at the beginning, in front of at least 200 businesses. People think this stuff takes loads of time. And yeah, it takes a bit of effort at the beginning, like maybe a couple of weeks' work to get your process built. But then it's just about testing and improving. And with Sam, we have a multitude of different offers that she takes to market. We have her book, right, that she sells on Amazon. Linked inbound and linked outbound have been downloaded now or bought now. I think it's over like 3 to 10,000. I don't know the number. I'm not going to quote it. I think it's between 3 and 10,000 copies. It's ridiculous how many we've sold off the back of the LinkedIn traffic and connecting it to the process. We also then have our mastermind. So as part of the £250 a month offering, you get free access to our in-person mastermind, right? So again, we sell that via webinars in this way. Same thing with Sam. Sam's running a workshop later on today. Sam sells her public talks that she does. So she gets paid by companies to come and deliver talks. She does corporate training that ranges from 10 to 20 grand. She was paid by Mastercard to go and deliver a training program for them on social selling, which again, she generated off the back of workshops run on LinkedIn. Multi-5-figure deals. In the past, multi-6-figure deals generated off the back of this work, connecting it to this process. Sam has so much experience around this stuff that she shares for our group. And again, with it, this is just packaging up the information that we've mentioned. And again, customers just copy the process. Signed a customer today. This person hadn't signed a customer since February. Second webinar last week, first customer since February after a barren run. This person here, 70 new program signups, 83 actions, 57 comments, 10 posts, 17 new program signups. A week of activity, a week of results. Oh, deal. Just wanted to share that we've just signed up our first one-to-one client. Doing our first live webinar today. Thank you very much. Doing the activities that you recommend. Running the process. 125 registrations. You need to forgive the cliche here, but how you do all of this is what dictates how successful you're going to be. One word can make a difference. And if you want to start seeing these consistent conversions, you need to start speaking the right language, feeding the right content to the platform, like Matt did on the right-hand side here. You can see the views that Matt's got, driving that traffic to a place where you can then shine a light on why people should want to work with you, focusing in your message on what people are missing and what they're doing that's a total waste of time. Remembering that if you want to have conversations about this, by the way, that QR code is there for you to be able to book in a call where I'll take you through this stuff. But Matt was a client of Sam's, and Sam worked with him one-to-one going through this stuff in the same way that our product works. And you can see here, taking on 18 new customers this month, all have come through LinkedIn. I was really surprised to see my profile views, blah, 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 blah. Okay. The big thing here, though, is getting your messaging right. So again, so you can see what Darren's mentioned here, by going through clarity, understanding and focusing in on what's missing. You can see here, look, oh my God, that's so obvious. Why don't I know that? It was brilliant. When I then landed the message of the missing action, he literally threw himself back in the chair. If you're not getting positive outbursts with your conversations with clients online right now, your messaging is wrong and you need to fix it. And so with positioning, the big thing really is understanding what makes you different and how to get people to buy from you. That is something that I'm going to be talking to you about in loads of detail with more content I've got coming up, but also in those calls as well. When you got your positioning right, you then move into your profits. So that is your offer, delivering the webinar, and then the journey that you take people on. You need to make sure that you frame your offers in the right way. Most people, again, when I ask them to pitch me what it is that they're doing, out of interest, I'm actually curious, what is your offer right now? In the chat box for me, can you just talk to me about what it is your offer is? What is it that you do? Now, this isn't to pinpoint or highlight or pick on people. It's actually, for me, for curiosity, but also because what I notice is that lots of people, when they then talk about what they're doing, they fail to get their prospects excited. With a webinar, your job is to, throughout it, demonstrate how your products and services make an impact. When you get to certain points, you then introduce how your products and services work. So with Stephanie that's put in permanent makeup services, if you're going to run a free video or a free workshop or whatever, it's about highlighting the difference you have made with your services in the past, how they have an impact, right? How they make it like a difference to people's lives, what you're doing. And again, however you want to highlight it, you're making a difference to someone with the service you're providing. You've just got to learn how to frame it in the right way. And then when you get to certain points throughout it, you just drop in what it is that you do. I mean, you've probably noticed I've dropped in price point, how our process works, what we do, the level of detail, the one-to-one consult. I've dropped it all in throughout different elements of this. I've just spoken about it. But I'm also hammering home value of things that you need to change. And by doing that and then backing it up with evidence and results and case studies and testimonials, you can see how it's like it works, right? You can see how it's true. It's there. I can't force people to write these things. It's everywhere online. And then you move into the delivery part. And so this bit isn't about ticking boxes. It's about understanding what makes people buy from you. Unlike what most people think, your workshops are not about piling them with loads of information. You need to structure your workshops to help people realize that they need to work with you to solve the problem that you say you solve. That starts with actually understanding the problems that you solve in the first place. Okay. Work out what your customers or prospects are moaning about. What is it that they want? What is it that they need? And when you do that, that's where you start to see the results come through. This isn't just in your webinars. It's literally in everything that you do. It needs to be on your websites, which we review, landing pages, which we review, content that we review, messages that we review. We need to get you to show up as the most passionate, enthusiastic version of you, talking about the stuff that you really know, just like Angie does on a daily basis on her account. You've got to highlight your mission, why you're doing what you're doing, why you're trying to make a difference. It literally needs to explain why you're showing up every day trying to get people's attention. People want to work with people that they believe in. And to do that, you've got to believe in yourself in the first place. I spend hours reviewing people's work each week, and the devil with this is all in the detail. And you can see the level of feedback we give clients one-to-one throughout the consulting phase of our service. The bullet points are there. I'm not going to read them out to you, but it's very specific. We will watch someone's webinar and say, we're 8 minutes in and I don't have feedback yet. But then again, boom, we drop it through. And when you then implement the changes and improve throughout the year, you get the results. We get more feedback, we improve. It is never perfect. We are always looking to make it better, always looking to get it improved. That goes with every element of your marketing and sales strategy. When you join all of that together, you then create the journey that you can see on the right-hand side there. Get a client, get a client, get a client, consistently, month in, month out. You highlight the importance of the subject you're talking about. This is the structure of that presentation. You highlight the big problem your audience is facing and what's holding them back from success. You then highlight what's missing and what they're doing that's ineffective. You then present your solution in the best way that solves the problem specifically. You get that right, the calls come in. That is the structure that I've actually presented to you today. I've highlighted what's missing. I've highlighted what's ineffective. I've showcased to you why it's important. And then I've also presented to you how our solution works to solve it. And the feedback is part of that for you then to be able to get the advice for you to do the same thing. So some big pieces of advice with all of this is not guessing your way to success, and actually selling to people actually isn't as hard as you think. It's the realization of that. You just need to take your prospects on a journey. And I want to share with you another example of this here, right? This is a gentleman called George Burns, a client of ours. We broke down his offer. So this was a training offer and also his investment offer. Right? Step by step, we worked through this one-to-one with him. We then got his webinar written, Property Flips and BRR Live Workshop with it. We then started to improve on his content. And again, here you can see 95,000 impressions. He has 11,000 followers, consistently getting high levels of it. You can see here, we then put it on Facebook as well. At the time when we first started to work with him, he was getting 586,000 impressions over a 28-day period. Not bad. But then we got that going and pushing, 200,000 view post. We then here got a 1.1 million view post here as well with one of them. And you can see here, like the levels of engagement, that 95,000 impression post ended up being 185,000 impressions with, again, a 40,000 and 26,000. Like his reach over the last 28 days tripled, right? 586 to 1.5 million. His LinkedIn, he's now got 1.35 million impressions. You can see the spike here of when we started to work together. And the results, I sent him a WhatsApp asking for them. He's raised, I think, over 2 million quid, that's saying here. And he's done 60 grand in his education business as well. So it doesn't matter what business you're in. The results, again, come in from implementing the process. And this just backs up the journey that we go on with every single person that we work with. The reality and the truth is that to start generating that consistent flow of leads, you don't need to be spending hundreds of hours online. You simply just need to build a marketing and sales process that's proven and works, and then have a traffic plan, a promotional plan to give you that opportunity every single month. Social selling is the terminology that we use to connect all of this together. We just need to be focusing your time and attention on the right thing to get it working. And the Social Selling Academy is a solution that includes 4 things, right? We have the training, we have the accountability, we have the mentoring, and we then have technology that supports all of this, okay? Now, this is the £250 a month program that I mentioned. And it's really, really simple how we work. We initially take you through a clarity exercise, which showcases how you can create and prove value with your offer. So you've got to prove your concept. We take you through product, audience, offer, and message within about a week. From there, then, we actually isolate some connection activities. So we actually teach on all of these different connection activities here that you can see. We will isolate one of them. So we'll pick on LinkedIn. We'll then teach you how to build an audience on LinkedIn, take control of that audience by creating what we call lead magnets, gated content. Now, we will talk you through how to design, how to build PDFs, how to run workshops, record videos. We then take you through how to then convert that audience. So you may pick live webinars like I've mentioned today. Some of you may do other things. We'll then teach you how to close off the back of those webinars, and then also how to build and deliver a sustainable service so you can scale it to more and more customers without drowning yourself in work that you can't deliver. Together, now Nick and Sam make up the majority of this, right? And however, we have over 30 years of combined business experience with this, right? This training has helped businesses that are just starting up through to companies the size of Mastercard, like you saw with Sam there as well. We have a training video for absolutely everything, tutorials on everything, broken down into each phase. And again, it's 250 quid a month, right? People always ask us, how do we generate all of the case studies and the results that we do? Our team is on the right-hand side there, and we all specialize in completely different things. I specialize in marketing and sales strategy. Sam is our LinkedIn and social selling expert and also helps you sell to corporates. For those of you that are looking to sell to corporates, I will help you with B2C and B2B. Nick is our business growth expert who has sold businesses in excess of 500 million plus Just go and check out his resume online. Zoe, my fiance, works on sales funnels, systems, process, graphic design. Elise works on social media strategy and conversion campaigns. Victoria works on messaging, offers, and webinar conversion. We set you objectives, we set targets, and together we work to achieve them. That's how we get the results. All we need you to do is listen, apply, and be open to adapt as we grow together, because things will need to change and we'll help you change them. Our results, like we've shown, speak for themselves. And again, here you can see the mentoring and consulting that we offer. Now, this is in 2 phases. We do group coaching and we also do one-to-one on calls like this. Our groups are on Mondays at 12 p.m. And Thursdays at 2 p.m. So we've got one today. I think it's tomorrow at 2 p.m. You also have consulting calls with us. So you can see here, this was a 36-minute call. They are recorded so you can see it. And we will then review that process like with you as your business grows. So we'll push you. We'll again hold you accountable with calls that are booked in. We'll be checking in on you to make sure that you're doing the work. We just need to make sure that you don't go quiet on us. Please do not join us and then go quiet, because what we teach is what we do. There aren't any shortcuts to this. This was an hour call that I did with Tamsin when we first started. We drew out our whole sales strategy together. This was a 13-minute call that I did with Charlotte that was focused on talking about her webinar structure. These are the messages that we typically get. If you are struggling, saying like, look, I really am lost, I don't know what I'm doing, you just message and say, I'm lost. I jump on a call with you, and hopefully you get a result in the same way with this. This was from a lady called Donna. All right, thank you so much for yesterday. Woke up today feeling more hopeful. A lot of this is mindset as well, right? Like she needed a bit of a push in the right direction. And again, 2 days later, 7.5 grand, 30 grand committed. And then from there, you can see here, just close 45 grand down, all based on you giving me the push. That's how this stuff works. You buy into us, we buy into you, we will push you to get similar results to this. To then throw in on top of this, I know how much money people are spending on technology, email marketing, landing pages, CRMs. We include all of that for you for the 250 quid a month, as well as everything else that I've mentioned. So today's offer is where you work with us for 12 months. You get access to everything that's on there. We have all the templates, all the trainings, all the technology, the one-to-one consultation calls, all the feedback, all the training, and literally everything that you could possibly need to grow your business for 250 quid a month. It's ridiculous, but we're doing it to disrupt. We're doing it because we're fed up of people charging tens of thousands of pounds for the equivalent to this. We want to build something and actually deliver the results that we've got right now, because we're on a mission to change it. If that isn't everything that makes you kind of committed to us, we also do in-person stuff. So every quarter we run an in-person mastermind where we get round a table, 20 to 25. This is free of charge, included in your membership with us. You get to come along. They are in Birmingham. We have people come from the US, from Europe to come to these. We deliver content, training. The next one is in September. That's included as well. You then also get a 30-minute session with me. That's a one-to-one in-depth session like I did with Tamsin, which ended up being an hour, where I basically get you to brain dump your business on me. I will then rip it to pieces, put it back together again on the call, and we work through together. Okay, so again, that is everything. There's no like price drop. We can't drop that any further. It's 250 quid a month to be able to join us and to be able to book in. I'm onboarding people as we speak at the moment. I ran a workshop last week as well, which we're working through. But that QR code there will take you to my diary. I appreciate I've ran a little bit over. But that QR code takes you to my diary. Book in a call. You cannot join this unless you speak to me, because we've got to make sure that we're the right fit for each other. I need to make sure your business model is right. You need to make sure that you're happy working with me, because we're going to spend a lot of time talking with each other. But with that being said, we will onboard straight away and capitalize on what is normally the best month of the year. People think August, everyone goes on holiday. August is our best month of the year because everybody else slacks and we put our foot down and capitalize on it. I want to help you do the exact same thing. So the QR code is there. I'm just going to check the chat box. There's been a few things come up there as well. Not a problem. Those of you that have said thank you and had to leave, not a problem as well. Stefano has asked, at what point should I start creating webinars? I'm only started with LinkedIn, have 100 followers. Start with webinars, Stefano, straight away. because again, with that 100, you only need to run one to get 1 to 2 clients through. You then build up your following. You should be growing by 500 a month from day dot. You just need to learn how. Some of the stuff I'm hoping today is share that for you. Sarah, would you recommend running events live on LinkedIn or to register via Zoom? If live on LinkedIn, would you gate the webinar? And so I would definitely run them via Zoom and collect the email addresses. Running them LinkedIn lives are what we call connection content. They're not conversion content. Conversion content is a webinar, run them on Zoom, collect the email addresses so it also builds your list. You can run LinkedIn lives from a content point of view, but that's just to build credibility, to not collect email addresses. The running them on LinkedIn live, unfortunately, just restricts the amount of traffic you get. Stefano, I live in American time zone and this time zone are too early. Any plan to add in later calls? So all of the calls are recorded. So you can watch them on record as well. The 2 p.m. one is what the US time zone typically comes to, but you also have the one-to-one calls with us anyway. So again, we fit your time zone. I'm actually delivering this from Sydney. So I'm in Australia. I've just traveled across America. So I'm working all over the place and we fit to everybody's time zone. We always find a time that works for people. So that was all the questions that I had. Now, if you have any other questions, please make sure that you come through. I'm going to stop sharing for now, so you've got it. But was that helpful for those of you that are still here? Because I know lots of you had to leave. Was that helpful? Did that give you a bit of insight into webinars and into workshops and what you can do? Just give me a yes in the chat if it has. For me, this is all about making sure that you've got some clarity on the direction, the process, the top tips. I'm really, really glad that it's helped you. I appreciate it a lot. And for those of you that have booked your calls in, I look forward to speaking to you. I'm not going to keep you here any longer than you need to be. I appreciate it a lot. Stephanie has said, I've registered for another 6 of your webinars. Actually, I'm not a decision maker. I'm learning for our CEO and press for today. Not a problem. Appreciate it at all. Jason has asked, any difference between using Teams or Zoom? No, there isn't. Exactly the same thing as long as you can collect the email addresses. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate your attention and time for the just over the hour that we've had. Have an amazing day. Make the most of it. Put this into practice. Please don't just watch this and do nothing. Have an amazing day, evening, whenever you're watching this. If you're watching it on the replay, when I eventually send it out, and I'll see you all very soon. Thank you very much and goodbye.